Okay. So just standing comfortably and to the degree that you're familiar with basic postures, basic stances in Tai Chi, getting as close to those as you can without actually forcing anything in your body, and just standing feet hip width apart as much as possible. Your weight forwards and hips just settling back. And then, with the focus of attention in the middle part of your body, hips to waist, starting to turn gently. First stages in any practice session, regardless of your experience, whether it's your first or your 101st time, whether you're in a class or whether you're practicing on your own, is always about just beginning to loosen up a little bit, let your body warm up and adjust to movement, to bring your attention into your body as much as you can, so you're more aware of posture, stance, movement, and just beginning that process of settling in, which is such a key part and is really the point that we move out from in Tai Chi. Don't hurry, and in particular, people with a bit more experience, it's good to have a sense of what you've been able to do before and where you can get to, but also to recognize that we're not machines, we're not robots. We can't just flip a switch and perform. There are many factors that influence how long and with what ease we might say get into a difficult posture. We learn to listen to our bodies, and there's no point in listening if you're not going to take notice of what you hear. One of the very common images that we use in Tai Chi that help to engage mind and body is the one of moving through water. But we might equally say moving like water, following the path of least resistance, finding a way to make these movements work without increasing the tightness and stiffness in the body, even if that means, to begin with, a slight deviation from the way that we want to do it, aware of those areas of blockage and tightness in your body that we begin to move around. In the first instance, this is the best way to approach those. As you warm up, become a little bit more focused. You might be a little bit more incisive about clearing those blockages, about bringing an intention to release in those areas. Gently shaking your body, using your hips, your legs, just sort of shake up the upper part of your body, almost like you're sort of shaking out a duvet or something like that. Nice and loose in your shoulders. A good way of gently waking yourself up, and your hands coming up sides of your body to your shoulders and then down again. Just letting your breath come as is comfortable and natural for you. Not trying to breathe in any particular way, do any particular pattern. Again, that's something that may be relevant later, but not at this point. And then still with this shaking feeling, bring your hands around, one hand or both hands onto the lower part of your back. Gently press in, massaging this whole area of lower back and kidneys. And then keeping the width of your step, take a short step forwards. To begin with, a gentle push from the ground. Move your weight forwards and backwards. Don't strain in your knees, hips. This will help to develop a certain sort of springiness in your legs. Feeling how when you move your weight, again, you get that turning in the center of your body. So begin to get a sense of your whole body moving as one unit from the ground. And in conjunction with this gathering of your attention, we start to get a feeling of sort of wholeness, I suppose you could say. Feeling that makes a big contribution to how we feel about ourselves and our well-being, and something that is a key feature of these arts. And then have your other foot forwards. And the shaker. Looking again at the basic stance, the parallel stance. Come a bit closer so you can see. Feet should be hip width apart, not too close together, not too wide apart. Pointing forwards, or maybe just with a slight turn outwards, but only very slight. See if you can just let your weight come forwards a little bit and allow this area of lower back, hips and buttocks to just settle back gently. So you get this feeling of dropping down into the ground, almost like you just rested yourself against the edge of a table or a wall or something like that. Just allowing your center of gravity to begin to drop, to root down. And this is always our first sort of physical action to try and get that sense of rooting down, for the stability that it gives us, for the way it helps to take some of the strain of carrying the weight of the body off the upper body, space for movement. And as we will see in this position, if you can let your hips drop back a little bit more, being careful of your knees, as we go down a bit more, we start to feel a push up. So the rooting down is the prelude to this sense of a rise in movement, rise in energy coming up to our legs, into our upper body expanding and then contracting. And with the feeling of your weight dropping down, that release of tightness in the upper part of the body, creating more space for the movement. You may find that things like your breathing, for instance, a form of movement, moves a little bit more freely, maybe synchronizing a little bit more with your movements. But if it doesn't, then don't Don't panic about it, don't force it. Maybe switch your attention elsewhere for a few moments. Your breathing will eventually quite naturally synchronize with your movements, the rest of your movements, I should say. But expanding and expanding, contracting. This time, bring your hands around as though you're cradling the ball. And as you push up, the expansion, pushing your elbows out. So drawing your hands up, turn them over as though they're resting on the ball, and then sinking down, pressing the ball down. Maybe making use of this image of moving through water. Just aware of that gentle resistance to the movement that encourages this feeling of releasing in muscles and joints. Still a strong movement because of the resistance, but not one that encourages a sense of straining, or tightening up. And this sets the style for the movements that we want to make that lead to the flowing quality. So we have the drawing down of our hips, we have gravity bringing us down into our root. From the root, we feel that expansion upwards, and both directions of movement beginning to build this fluidity. So your body will be very gently massaged by the movement. And once again, this can lead us to being able to just gently release some of those areas that feel a bit stiff or tight. These are ongoing processes in Tai Chi. So this exercise is simply called rooting down. This time, turning your hands out. And as you push up, your arms being pushed away from your body and just naturally swing up. This is a movement called the wild goose. And again, we may find that an image actually helps to create an effect within our body if it's the right image for us. So if the image of the bird in flight offers the qualities of smoothness of movement, perhaps grace, strong movement. These are all aspects of the art that we learn to cultivate through this engagement of mind and body. We're aiming to create an environment within the body that allows for this movement, this flow of energy to all parts of the body. It is an intentional process. Try not to let your attention drift away. And then letting your hands drop down, crossing in front of your belly, pushing up, and again, your elbows pushing out, drawing your fingers around. This time, the intention is to describe a circle with your fingertips. 2 circles, really. Once again, trying to maintain an active engagement with your attention, your intention. So these 3 elements of the physical body, the movement, and our awareness and intention, body, mind, and energy, interacting and supporting each other. Once again, with a kind of holistic feeling beginning to develop, so that even those 3 elements don't feel separate from each other. One more time. And we're going to go back to the first of these exercises, curling your hands under, a little sequence doing one of each movement. Noticing the change from one movement to another. Change in the external movement, the choreography of the exercise. Sun change into part in the clouds. Change in imagery. Once again, curling your hands over, cradling the ball. A change in the patterns of movement within your body. These are all things that we can begin to recognize with a quality of intentionality to. Once again, body, mind, and energy harmonizing into one. Notice whether you're getting to rush at this. Just try to gently slow down. One of the ways we do that is by bringing our attention to more and more subtle detail. It's often the mind that is racing. One more time through this little set. Now, letting your hands drop down, and the weight of your arms hanging from your shoulders, focusing on one side and expanding up from the ground, pushing your arm up, and at the top just wind around as though you're plucking a fruit off a tree. Drawing down, let your arm hang down, bring your attention to the center part of your body, and that sense of just dropping down, and then to the opposite side and push up. Pull down. It's called Dragon Plucks the Stars from the Sky. Once again, take just a moment to recognize that feeling in the center of your body before you switch to the opposite side. So again, not rushing the movement, not rushing the changeover from one movement to another. And again, the center of your body into the other side. So if we can bring clear focus of attention to our body, notice these small details like that feeling in the center of our body. This helps with the general sense of quietening, settling, calming down, which is, I think, one of the more difficult aspects of the art. It's tricky to just slow down, especially in a fast-moving, busy life. In the Tai Chi writings, we're encouraged to seek the stillness within the movement. And this is a key feature and a key benefit of the art. This time, just a little bit closer again so you can see. I'm going to bring my hands around, gently touching the side of my hips, the side of the center of my body with the inside of my arm. And then from there, pushing my arms up. So I'm pressing my palms of my hand against the low ceiling and down. And once again, taking a moment just to return to the starting point. Can be quite a tricky thing to do. This time pushing outwards, turning your arms so palms are facing out, and then back, lightly touching your sides. When you push up, when you push out, keep your hands a little bit in front of your body. This helps to keep the feeling in your back of it being longer, broader, and supporting the front of your body. This time, bring your hands back down. Again, as you lightly touch the sides of your body, get that feeling of just dropping through the center of your body to the ground. And then as you push out, turn in the center, your hips and your waist, noticing how that redirects your arms and back. And then the other direction and back. And then simply place in the front and push it out. And back. This is pushing in 4 directions. Just trying to keep a nice, even paced movement. It's not uncommon to find that there's a strange resistance to this idea of coming back to the starting point. Just remind yourself that this is not a race, that we don't need to rush simply in order to get there. Again, seeking the stillness within the movement. The center part of your body, hips to waist, is sometimes described as being like the hub of a wheel. The hub turns, the wheel follows. So we move increasingly from the center of our body, from that part of the body that is actually dropping towards the ground. So we move from the ground. This time, letting your hands drop down. Again, focusing on one side, letting the upward movement, the expanding movement, push your arm out, let it swing until it's just in line with your nose and straight down. Describing a half circle. And same thing again. Fingers pulled gently back. We're not actually actively going up and down in our hips at this movement, but we do want to feel that the hips are still dropping back. So we've still got that pull of gravity working through our body without resistance. And we've still got the upward movement in response to that. And this time, if it's comfortable, from the top position, just turn a little bit and bring your hand down. Perhaps reminding yourself of that feeling of the movement gently massaging your body. Recalling qualities like that can have an interesting effect on the state of our body, the state of our movement. The memory can become part of our intention. Changing sides. So mind is an active part of this whole practice, but this is not mind over matter. We're not simply ignoring the limitations in our body, which will always be there, of course, for one reason or another. Remembering that idea of following the path of least resistance, forcing anything. Again, adding the term, moving as far as you're comfortable. And when we extend, ideally, we will stop just before we reach the full limit movement. So we retain that sense of space for the internal flow. Your arms just hang by your sides, and again with the focus of attention in the middle part of your body here. This time, push your hips back a little bit so your pelvis tilts, and then let gravity pull your hips down, and your pelvis will just right itself, level itself up. As we do that, noticing the effect that has on our shoulders and our head. So recognizing that again, a movement, a rotation, this time a vertical rotation in the center part of our body has an effect on the upper body, in particular, the way when we allow gravity to pull our hips back, we come gently to an upright stance. Not straining. As you come up, feel that your back supports the front of your body. Feel that your spine and your ribs support the whole of your arm. Try not to stiffen up in your back, your shoulders. This time sink down just a little bit, push up. Arms coming out again, and this time as your hips go back, your hands and arms coming over as well. This is called rowing a boat in the middle of the lake. Very gently, very careful with knees and back. Little extension through back and spine, arms and fingers, and then come into the upright position. Don't overdo this movement. So rowing a boat in the middle of the lake. Again, breathe in, just coming naturally and smoothly. Do one more of these. This time, as you come to the upright position, let your hands come to rest in front of your belly, palm down, turn a little bit. Then push the hips back, send the hands forwards. Swing your hips across carefully, let them drop down, coming back to the upright position, turn to the front. Then go in the other direction. Your arms begin to be drawn around a smooth circle. This is called polishing the table. So you can see my hips more clearly. I'm exaggerating the movement. I want you to see what's happening in the hips. Very carefully, as always. Again, recognizing the significance of the center part of your body. Still as though you're moving through water. Particularly important to take care with these stronger movements. Remembering this intention to cultivate a sense of space within the body for that internal flow. One more time. And then just stand. Shake out. Good. And just get a drink. So when we use terms like grounded, centered, Tai Chi, these are not imaginary qualities. These are not metaphors. We're literally moving from the center of our body. The center of our body is dropping towards the ground. So we're moving from the ground. And these are constant features in Tai Chi, and they enable the postures and the movements that in their turn enable this sense of movement within the body and the flow precision of the movement. And this feeds back into our attention and our intention. So again, we have these three elements: body, mind, energy. In Chinese medicine, it's sometimes said that the energy in the body will follow the thought, the intention, and the body will follow the energy. I feel that in these arts, we, rather than thinking of it as a linear thing, think of the three elements working together like the three legs of a tripod, supporting each other, mutually enhancing each other. We may choose to look at a particular aspect for one reason or another. It might be more appropriate to focus on something physical, the alignment of your body, or maybe that stiff shoulder. Might be more appropriate to focus on the flow of energy. It might be the sense of flow that, or a disruption in the flow that brings our attention to that stiff shoulder. It might be more appropriate to think in terms of our posture. Is our shoulder being supported by our hip? Can we bring a sense of attention and intention to our posture that helps the shoulder to release, and so on and so forth? So it's not an either or situation. It's not either body or mind or energy, but rather these three elements blending into one whole. Once again, what we could describe as a holistic movement. And this is an antidote, I feel, to that sense of just being totally all over the place that we can get sometimes. It's a very busy, fast-moving world, and much of what we do is really important. So there's no suggestion that we shouldn't be engaging in various activities that we do. But we can begin to engage with them with a different attitude, with that sense of stillness. So still in the parallel stance, maybe having your feet a little bit wider and slightly turned out. It's a slightly more complicated exercise. Start by just transferring your weight from one foot to another. You're only going to about 60% of your weight in each leg. So this is not right across. You see, when I go right across, my posture starts to go out. You could imagine a line going down through the middle of your body from the crown of your head, straight line, like a plumb line you might use to hang wallpaper. And if this pole represents that line, you just see how far it's moving at this point. And what I want to try and avoid is something like this. If you watch the hip, it's tempting sometimes to do that, or to do that, or make some kind of adjustment, but just think of shoulders to hips, a nice, I could show you there actually, see how shoulder and hips stay more or less in line. In reality, there aren't any straight lines within the body, but we can imagine these lines as being a bit like the grid lines on a map. If you get a paper map or a map on your phone, you'll see these squares. They don't exist in the landscape, but they do help us to navigate the landscape. This time, move your weight towards your left, so mirroring my movements, and just turn a little bit in towards the left. So turning around that center line, go to your right and turn. So if the center of the body could be likened to the hub of a wheel, like a bicycle wheel, then that center line is like the axle of the wheel. And this turning around is very light. It's not forced. We're not twisting the body up. It's just a slight turn. It doesn't have to be much to produce quite a significant effect on our upper body. Bring your hands around. Again, you can have them resting lightly at your sides. Get this feeling of the moving, being moved by the combination of your weight transfer, the turning in the center of your body. I sometimes use an image where I'm carrying a tray of drinks. Quite a dynamic task. So the arms are actually active, and yet at the same time, reflecting that quality of stillness. Because if I was carrying a tray of drinks, my arms were agitated and all over the place, I spilled the drinks. Now, from this position with your hand in the right, and then coming over to your left, let the movement just swing your arm up and down, as though you're throwing a frisbee towards the corner. Come back, bringing your hand across the chest, turn your hands palm in, carrying the ball now across into your left turn. Same thing on the other direction, go to the right, turn, press the top hand down till it's resting in front of your left hip, and then back, turn. This is part in the wild horse's way. Not rushing, again, taking a moment, a point of change when you settle into your leg here, and then pushing out, settling into your left leg, bringing the hands into position. Back into your right, settling in your right foot, turning your hands to hold the ball, then moving across, carrying the ball with you, and once again turning, settling into your left. So into your right, and there are these little moments of settling. Think of them as being like a comma in a sentence, just helping to structure the sentence, but not breaking the flow, stopping us getting carried away by the movement, so we're running downhill, unable to stop. This is how the stillness within the movement actually aids, complements the movement. As you go into your right, feel that opening across your chest, and then coming back in the contraction there, that opening across your back, and then carry the ball across. So again, beginning to observe the internal movements, the parts of the body that are most actively engaged by the movement. And people with a little bit more experience, see if you can just bring that quality of intentionality to the movement. So that rather than just thinking about, I've got to do this with my arm, with my hand, as you move from your right foot into the left, try and get a sense of your chest just expanding, pushing your arm out. So that over a period of time, we begin to move more from the inside out. Recognizing that those small changes within the body accumulate to the bigger movements, and are the movements that are far more likely to be influenced by our intention. One more time. Part in the wild horse's mane. Maybe the image of the horse running offers a quality as well. Shake out. So one of the ways that we develop these movements is by copying the movement in the first instance, of course, and that means copying what we see, but noting the effect that that copying has on the inner aspects of the movement, patterns of expansion, patterns of contraction, parts of the body responding in certain ways. And as we become more familiar with those for any particular exercise, our intention begins to influence these movements by memory, by remembering how it can feel in previous exercises, by use of imagery, by an awareness of detail, very fine detail of posture. All of these things feed into our intention, and gradually we begin to feel that that the movements aren't from outside in, but are built from inside out, that the inner movements of the body, the subtle changes physically, the subtle changes in the expansion and contraction of the energy produce the outer movements. So from the parallel stance, again, let your weight sink a little bit. Always important to come back to the ground. This is what gives Tai Chi its well-deserved reputation for stability and mobility. Turning one foot out and step forward with the other foot, keeping the width of your step. And once again, just begin to transfer your weight from one foot to another. Paying a little bit more attention to this now and guiding your weight properly into your foot. The transfer of our weight is an essential part of our general mobility, and yet we often ignore it. I want my weight to go from my back foot to my front foot, from my front foot to my back foot. I don't want my weight to go over there somewhere. If I'm not concerned with this, I can easily fall. So this is an important exercise. Trying not to come up and down. So not only are we beginning to intentionally guide the transfer of our weight, but we're maintaining this sense of root. So we begin to see how we can bring these qualities of being grounded, being centered, being stable, and being able to move with more of a sense of flow into quite a dynamic posture, one that really is a very practical posture, because this has a profound influence on our daily mobility. Once again, you're not trying to get all of your weight into one leg. Once again, I'll demonstrate with the pole, the center line of the body. You can see you're getting about 70% into your back foot, 60% into your front foot. But now what you do is you go back and raise the front toes a little bit, and you can drop back a little bit more. Take no notice that this isn't above the foot. It really should be there, but it'd be hard to hold the pole. Go forwards, push your back knee in so the heel comes up, and again, you begin to feel the weight shift slightly. So we're beginning to look for these qualities of alignment, of being grounded, of being supported over one leg rather than just two. Be careful of your knees and hips. This will be a strong movement in the muscles of your legs, so it's a really good exercise for conditioning your legs. And then go forwards, push your back knee in, bring your foot in. Push your foot back to the original position, put the ball of your foot down, lower your heel, gently press the foot into the floor, and move the weight. Raise your toes, bring the foot in, and when you step forwards, it's your heel goes down, then the ball of the foot, then that gentle press, we plant the foot. So imagine putting the seedling in a pot and gently pressing the earth down, and just feeling how that affects your awareness of the ground, the contact that you have between your foot and the floor beneath you. Don't rush this. It's not a race. It's not a speed thing. Notice whether you have a tendency to sort of want to lean forwards or backwards. Remember that feeling of your body in alignment. And shake it out. Try this with the other foot forwards. We begin to realize that all of these qualities are transient. We lose the root, we lose the sense of being centered, we lose the alignment very, very easily. But we also realize that if we think about that comma in the sentence, when we arrive in one leg or another, we have the opportunity just to settle again, just to come back to these qualities. This is an intention. We begin to recognize those qualities, how they make us feel. And so, again, we're not in a hurry. We settle into the back foot. Oh, nice. We settle into the front foot, allowing ourselves to settle to ground, to center. And then we can begin to raise our toes and our heel. You do this as though you're moving in water, feeling that pressure against the front of your body as you go forwards, against the back as you go back, feeling the change within your body, flowing through your body. Stepping in. And then either forwards or backwards, take a few steps through. I'm going to go forwards. Of course, I've got a wall behind me. Just taking the time to settle. It's a tricky exercise to move this slowly. You will almost certainly wobble around a little bit, but you can get to here. Here's the comma in the sentence that brings us back to that sense of the ground. Change in direction. Planting the foot. So you're walking on thin ice. You want to really feel the ground beneath your foot, testing the ice, if you like to think of it like that, before you commit your weight. Shake out. All of these things that I mentioned are aspects of walking that we lose very easily in the kind of rush to get to the bus stop or to the shops or to get from one room to another. The awareness of our weight transfer, the awareness of our route can slip away. So this is an exercise, the step that we take being shorter than normal. Most of us will tend to take a stride. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good way of getting to the shops. You build up a nice, gentle sense of momentum as you do this, and your leg will swing through and your arms will swing. That's all fine. But we often lose these other qualities. So this is a kind of rebalancing, in a sense, you can think of. So now we bring the arms back into the movement. Go back into the stance. We call this the bow stance in Tai Chi. And just be aware that when we bring our arms back, we may well lose that sense of awareness of what's happening in the feet and the legs. Start with your weight in your back foot. Fold your hands over your belly. Push forwards and let that movement like a wave coming from the back foot. Push your arms out, the body here, and then eventually drawing your fingers apart. This is called pigeon spreads its wings. And then coming back. Once again, going forwards, feeling the expansion through your belly, solar plexus and your chest. Noting that may have an effect on your breathing, but once again, more importantly, just aware of these subtle changes working through your body. Bringing a greater sense of intention to them. So pigeon spreads its wings. This time, when you come back, let your hands drop down, and as you go forwards, pulling them through. Fisherman castanet. Both these movements use the forward and backward movement of our weight, along with the orientation of our center. We're facing forwards, our arms therefore swing forwards and backwards. This time, however, from the front foot, as you go back, turn to your left, bringing your hands across your body, let them swing up, and then turn the hands forwards so that you go, as you go forwards, you can let them drop down, so they're pressing down across your hip, turn out just a little bit to swing your arms up and then back. So you're tracing out sideways figure-of-8 movement or an infinity sign in front of your body. You might imagine the shape there, or just recognize that your arms are just quite smoothly, quite naturally swinging around in this double circle, guided by the turning in the center of your body and the movement of your weight. One more time, going forwards. So those same 4 movements, this time with your left foot forwards, again keeping the width of your step. Starting in your back foot, pushing forwards, pigeon spreads its wings. So you're moving through water. Moving from the ground through the center of your body. And to just take that time to settle back into the ground and your weight arrives in one leg. Now let your hands drop down, fisherman cast the net, settling into your front foot, seeking the stillness within them. Feeling the way that the movement, the energy builds from the ground like a wave, flowing forwards and backwards through your body, through your fingers. Energizing your body. This time you come back and you turn with expansion, pushing your arms up, coming back. Try not to stiffen up in your shoulders or your arms or your fingers. Imagine the figure-of-8 sign, 2 circles. This time, when you go into your back foot, turn the front foot out just a little bit, and we combine this with the stepping that we just did. You go into the front foot, and as you turn, bring the back foot in. Unless you're going backwards, it's fine. You can just do it the opposite way around. Step forwards and plant the foot. Go forwards and press towards the hip. Bring the foot in as you raise your hands. Plant it as you turn your hands, and then easing forwards. I'm going to change direction. Same idea, going back, drawing back, bring the foot in, step and plant. Taking your time to settle in always, let that become a nice regular habit for you. And then Going forwards again, either just take the step in the way that we've been doing, or if you're feeling comfortable with this, you can bring your knee up and then step out. Don't take silly risks. If you feel unsteady, just keep the foot down. You'll learn in time to be able to raise the knee up steadily. Change in direction. One more time. Bring your feet down. So to close the session, first of all, just rubbing your hands together and with the pads of your fingers tapping lightly over your face. This can help to just settle you back in, help to release any tightness that's built up in the body during the session. Take your hands over your head and neck. And then down to one shoulder, let your other arm hang down, tap down the inside of your arm, not the outside. Change sides, noting the sensation, the vibration in your muscles as you do this. Bring one hand or both hands around lightly on your lower back. Going around your hips. And then down the outside of your legs, the inside. Light on your belly. And the upper part of the chest. Again, we can use imagery to encapsulate many of these qualities. And one image that I rather like is of the mountain, which seems to sort of include many of the qualities, and most of the qualities that we look for. The stillness, but very dynamic, the spaciousness, the sense of the root and the strength. So that might be a useful image. In this last exercise, it's called Embrace Tiger, Return to the Mountain. So your hips sink down, pushing up, your arms coming out. Bring your hands around as though you're holding the ball against your chest. Drawing your hands in, let your hips sink down, shoulders follow. Arms pressing down. And then resting for a moment and starting again. So I've mentioned several times this idea of just taking a moment to come back, to realign, to let yourself settle, mind and body. And it's worth reflecting on what helps us with that. The image of the mountain, the sensation of gravity pulling on our hips, the memory of the movements of what it's like to be grounded and to be centered. Could be lots of things, but what would actually help you as you go into your day and maybe have a busy day? What would best suit you to recall, just to give you that glimpse of the stillness within the mood? And come to stand. Stand, and if it helps, take a couple of slow, gentle breaths. Shake out. As always, thank you very much, everybody. If you do have any comments or questions, please feel free to get in touch. But enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.